It's gonna be a great night tonight.
We're gonna buy the kneecap off.
Do what it do.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Filthy Football Casuals podcast. I'm your co-host, Carl. We got Tom and John in the house, as always. Not to mention special guest Jesse. Welcome back.
There he is.
Let's go.
That's right.
There he is. Maybe with a more consistent work schedule, he could be more than a special guest.
Hey, we'll
Just
see what the
already
new
a guest.
season brings.
Just
No.
wow.
We love having you here talking some Packers. Whatever's going on. I think this week that's mainly the draft. We are just over a week away. Coming up real soon.
Oh yeah,
8
next
days
next
and
Thursday.
Next Thursday, yeah. What are hype levels at? Where's the
Pretty low. I'm not pumped for this. I don't know. Like, I feel like a lot of the storylines are already kind of written, and right, like the day of this is pretty good, but. I mean, there seems to be some pretty solid consensus at like who the top players are, the order that guys are going to go probably. And I say all that, I think of the league when remember when Trubisky actually got taken? Everyone's like, "What the heck?" Like that was like what?
The Niners traded out of what was it? They traded out of position 2 down to position 3 so that Chicago could jump up the 2 to take Trubisky.
Yeah.
It's like
So like maybe
what?
something weird like that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not right now. Like I don't know. Maybe I'm drafted out, and I haven't even been like that involved. To be honest with you.
I mean, I'm excited because it's been 3 years since the 49ers have had a first round pick, so we're back, baby. If we keep that first round pick, I have no idea. It's entirely possible if we trade out.
That was going to be my thing. I'm like, at pick 31, you very well could trade back out of that.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't get too hyped, but I feel like this is I feel like it's a deep draft in a lot of positions that there's some value to be had even at 31 that you might not want to miss out on. So
It's one take I've heard in the last few weeks is they're saying it's not. I guess it's the opposite. They're saying it's not the deepest draft, and they're saying there's not a lot of like first round talent in the first round, so to speak. So like everyone's gonna be kind of taking flyers on guys. You maybe not the most well-rounded guys, but you never know, they might work out. It's kind of those. Everybody's gonna win, I think, after that week, and everyone's roster is gonna be ready to go.
just like after every draft, every roster is Super Bowl ready now. Because these 20-year-olds
Yeah.
you just drafted. Yeah.
Yeah, we fixed our weaknesses. None of the other teams did anything. We don't have to worry about them.
Nope.
As long as my Raiders got better, then hell yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Every draft
Yeah.
team gets a plus, or every team that we like, every other team gets an F minus.
Absolutely.
That's correct.
Yeah. We'll just look at their positions they need. If they don't take them, then that's obviously a shitty grade.
Yep.
Best player available. Fake philosophy. Not real. How do you guys feel about that, honestly? It's one of those things that you hear every single year, all the time.
The whole best player available. thing.
Yeah, do you draft for need to fill slots that you have holes on your roster, or do you take literally the best guy on your board ever?
I mean, honestly, Packers kind of follow that best player available thing. I like it. I think it's smart. The only thing I would say, like, outside of that is if you're a top 5 pick and you are a team lacking a franchise quarterback, that's your time to try to do it. But other than that, I would say taking best player available seems pretty smart in my books.
Even if there's like a running back, I don't think there is one this year, but if they went and spent a 20th pick overall on a running back, after everyone they brought in, you wouldn't be upset about that?
I mean, we spent a 25th pick on Jordan Love when we had Aaron Rodgers.
It's true. And it seemed to maybe possibly paid off. So
Yeah, maybe. I trust in the brass, but that's my philosophy with the draft is that you never know what the Packers are going to do. I don't try to guess it. I just know that what they're going to do usually works out.
You do actually
Better.
know what the Packers are going to do in the sense that you know what they're not going to do, and that's take a skilled player in the first round.
Yeah.
Whoa. Not hot.
Not gonna happen.
That's why
Hmm.
Cooper DeJean, here we come. Give us that
Cooper
defense.
DeJean. I would say that like unfortunately I wish I had more faith in kind of Pittsburgh's front office, only with I feel like things have kind of turned around, but in kind of like the waning years of Ben, and we were just trying to like scrape together like, oh, we have glaring need at corner. Here we're gonna draft a corner in the first round because that's what we need to do. Unfortunately, there was no good corners, and he was like a third round grade, and he fizzled out awfully. Then we have a lineman retire. Ben's going into his last year, and we're like, we need to draft a lineman. Like, just give us who is available, and that didn't work out too well. So I'm just like slightly biased in seeing the drafting for need biting the franchise multiple times in the last 4-year span. So I want to say that I want to go like best player available, but then I'm also looking at like right now, like Pittsburgh is a monstrous hole at the center position. And so it's like, what are you doing if you're not finding the best center available, like to fill that spot? Because that's like, it's such a, it has to happen. So I don't like being pigeonholed, and I don't like when we've had been put in this position in the past because it has not yielded good results. But I mean, here we are again. So I guess right, like in Pittsburgh situation, like there is no like real NFL caliber player that is at the center position right now on the roster. And so like, what does that leave you as like you have to address it, I guess. Free agency has come and gone. There was nobody that tickled your fancy worthwhile to put on the roster to be at least a placeholder. So that makes it look like to me that we're going to have to go back to, again, talking about like depth. I have heard that this is a deep offensive line class, which is great. But I also like, was that going to translate to? We're going to have a serviceable center, right, with another aged quarterback behind him, and just pray the rookie can figure out NFL defenses when, you've got just monsters rushing at you. So I don't know. I want to say it's best player available just because I think that is how you you're able to build, and not just in like the first round, right? All eyes are always on the first round, but in these deeper classes, right, where I'm sorry, not just deeper rounds, where again, 49ers, for example, right? Like that's where the money sits for them. And I don't think that they're drafting based on, I need a wide receiver in the 5th round, like I have to take one, right? Like you have a really good being able to assess really good players and being able to kind of round out your roster with these back end guys who end up turning up to be studs. So
I don't have anything against best player available. I think it certainly can pan out more often than it doesn't, right? Because best player available is a lot of times you're taking the most athletic freak that's left when it comes to you, and an athletic freak, if you with the right coaching, will have production in the NFL, right? I don't know if the Niners really follow best player available. We definitely kind of draft for need largely.
Okay.
But I think we do a really good job at scouting every position to know like what the players at each position of need, even later in the draft, like what do we think we can still get value out of, at these later positions. So I think we just do a good job of that. Our first round draft picks, we miss more than we hit, at least under John Lynch. I think our only 2 certified hits are Bosa and Ayuk so far. That's it.
I mean, because I know you mentioned earlier that you haven't had a draft pick in 3 years.
Correct.
In the first round.
The draft pick the player we took by giving up those draft picks was Trey Lance, who also did not hit. So.
Well, okay, enough said right there.
Yeah. But John, if you're looking for a center, I'll have you know Jason Kelce was drafted in the 6th round. So
that's true.
Look, you don't have to be a first round grade talent to be a success in the NFL. So
that's true. So is Tom Brady.
That's right.
There you go. John, you bring up a good point. Yeah, it's no, just say you have a good point that even if you go like best player available, it's not guaranteed, or if you draft for need, it's not guaranteed to pan out. You know,
Sure.
it's kind of a couple percentage points less maybe than just best player in general. So yeah, maybe there's some different thoughts to that.
I was gonna say, especially offensive line. I think later in the draft you can find some real gems. Packers seem to do it every year. You know, Bakhtiari I think was a 3rd or 4th round pick. You know, Zach Tom was a 3rd round pick. That's going to be our starting right tackle, maybe center of the future. We've had, you know, plenty of guys on our lines over the years that came out of the 4th, 5th, 6th round in the draft and started, you know, a few years for us.
Out of curiosity, do you guys follow like what your teams do for like general drafting trends?
In what sense?
I'm so like Pittsburgh, especially with their first rounders, like they have like a checkbox of things that like literally everyone in the first round or anyone that they've drafted in the first round, they someone is at their pro day. Both the GM and Tomlin are at like I've got it written down. So that's gonna be more so for next week. But then like we have like specific like measurables that we're routinely drafting for from like certain positions. And if they don't meet those like we just don't draft these guys. If they don't meet like certain physical criteria to kind of match, which I thought was kind of interesting because it seems like, you know, I wonder if that recipe is some of the reasons why like Pittsburgh has like missed on some of these guys because hey, like these guys don't meet these criteria. This guy does, so we have to go with him and ignoring, you know, potentially other things. So I was just curious if you guys, if you know of your teams, if they have some like general like rules on what they're bringing in for players.
I told you all about that when Gruden was in town.
If
But
they're grinders,
the
he's
current
drafting
regime, I
them.
don't
That's
know.
it, yeah.
Don't know a whole lot about him. Yeah, I always tried to like when Reggie McKenzie was in charge, and then Gruden tried to look at those guys, but it's all new folks for now. So not in the Raiders camp anyway.
That's interesting that the Steelers have kind of like a bingo card for these players that
It actually is, yeah.
and it seems like the Pittsburgh is one of those teams where like when it comes to their pick, everyone's very certain about who they're probably going to take. Like even the Joey Porter pick last year, like he seemed like really high on the list of like Steelers are probably going to take Joey Porter.
Get him.
And sure enough, that's interesting. Yeah, I don't know that Niners have a particular check boxes like that. I'm sure they do, but it's nothing I've looked into or to see if like there's any specific trends that way. Other than they want wide receivers that can block. That's the big thing. But
and tight ends apparently.
Well,
just a
yeah.
whole blocking. Everybody
Yeah.
blocks.
everyone blocks. Yeah.
Do you fear that makes them? Sorry, Jesse.
I would say for the Packers, the only thing they do, I think, round one is they check that box of taking a player that nobody thinks they're going to take. That's what we do.
That is
I was
true.
gonna say, do you fear if like the fans can figure out that you have this bingo card, does that make the team too predictable to other teams? Like when it comes for like trading up, trading down, that sort of stuff. Like if everybody knows Pittsburgh is going to take, you know, a 200-pound plus receiver, you know, whatever the measurables are, I feel like that could kind of limit you on the gamesmanship of the draft.
Well, and that's where I find it so strange. Like that's why I asked because again, it's so you know, again, Pittsburgh is so like formulated in who they're looking at that I'm just like it makes me wonder if you, because I don't really follow any other teams that close, right? Where if that's something that you guys see, but it seems like it's not it's not that common to then put yourself in this situation where you're putting your cards on the board and saying, hey, if you want these guys, like, you know, we're gonna get them if you don't get them. So it kind of leads me to when like Bill Belichick last year allowed us to we swapped picks, we jumped up to go ahead of the Jets to take the offensive lineman that apparently the Jets may have wanted. So
Right.
like hey, like Pittsburgh, we know you're gonna get this guy, like you want this guy, like we'll sell you on him.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Maybe that's something the fans kind of enjoy a little bit more than happens in reality, all the kind of
Sure.
backroom trading and stuff. So yeah, that's understandable.
But I don't know. I mean, ultimately, the draft can be a complete crapshoot. So yeah, it's Yeah, your internal scouting is all you can listen to, right?
Sure.
I don't know how much teams pay attention to what other teams are even doing, other than who they take off the board that was on our big board, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I
I
think it's
think
all
they-
that until it comes trade time.
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I was like, until the trades start, they look at. I don't think they look at individual players, but they look at like, oh, this person needs a cornerback. Where the hell did that fly just come from? But they look at it as a chance to snipe someone if they can. They're going to know what the other teams need,
Yeah.
not necessarily who they are targeting.
Like the Vikings. I don't know how many mocks you guys have looked at, but it seems like they're one of the most likely candidates to trade up because they need a quarterback and this and that, and their picks relatively low. But like I got to imagine they're keeping track of everybody. You're trying to like guess or like run through those scenarios.
Sure.
And if they take this, then we do that. All that crazy.
I'd be more worried about that. Like, oh, are they just overthinking everything, trying to position themselves for something? And yeah, I mean,
Also,
also
do a lot of that too. Yeah.
they've got Sam Darnold. They're fine. They don't need a quarterback.
True.
They're tanking this
Yeah.
season.
I don't believe yet. But
That's what I think will drive this first round, making it interesting, because we talked about like earlier, like it seems like the top of the draft class is the top of the draft class, but who are those teams that are going to make moves for quarterbacks? Is it going to be the Vikings? Is it going to be? I mean, yes, the Giants are at 6, but do they want to move up in case somebody's going to move up in front of them? If they even want to take a quarterback, they just gave what's his face all that money.
Danny Dimes.
Danny Dimes. But I mean, there's a lot of quarterback needy teams out there, so to say. They could be going after some people here.
Yeah, a lot of the mocks are calling like 4 to 5 quarterbacks off the board right in a row, which would be insane. Because I don't know that I've ever seen it that like ravenous with quarterbacks. Part of me doesn't think it'll play out that way, but I suppose it could happen.
yeah, I kind
I
of
mean,
doubt it.
The first 3 teams in the draft need, not just want, need a quarterback. So, and then you look beyond that, you got a couple teams a little farther down that really could use some too.
So wait, one more time. So all right, okay, Caleb Williams. Nothing's got to be said, right? Going 1, right?
Yeah.
That's nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing
it's a
really
guarantee.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about like the next 2 picks, right? And we're looking at the Washington Commanders and the Patriots, right? 2 and 3.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you guys? Who have you heard? What are you guys thinking? Which quarterback is going to go to who and why?
And everything I've heard has been Jaden Daniels, number 2.
Same.
Yeah, that's what I've heard, and then I would assume after that probably Drake May, but JJ McCarthy also kind of fills that Patriots model. But again, who knows what that Patriots model is now? Belichick's
Sure.
not there anymore,
Right. Yeah.
so
Yeah, JJ's
But
been
yeah.
getting a lot of hype, so I wouldn't
Yeah.
be surprised if he shot up the board, or somebody made a play to move up and get him higher than expected.
yeah, that's why I think like if the Giants want to move up, they might try to trade with the Cardinals to get that fourth quarterback, whoever's there. If it's McCarthy, if it's Drake May, whoever that is, like the Cardinals hold the power there because they're the first team that doesn't need a quarterback. So we'll see what happens, but I think either 4. I think within the top 10, we're going to see 5 quarterbacks go at least.
Really. That'd be
I
pretty
could
crazy.
see that. I could see that for sure.
Was it
Carl,
most
you seem to
recent-
be. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I was gonna say the most recent draft I remember that was like that ravenous about quarterbacks was like the Josh Allen draft, was right? It was like was that Baker, Darnold, Allen, and Lamar in that draft,
Rosen.
and Rosen too. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
those were like
Bills took the wrong Josh.
and even those guys didn't fly off the board 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Like they were spread out. Josh was taken at 7th. Like obviously Baker's number 1. Darnold I think was number 2.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
Darnold
something like
was
that.
2.
That's kind of why I find it hard to believe that they're going to go 5 in a row here. Like I hear the noise and all the hype, but I kind of like the first 3. It sounds like they're pretty locked in from what I've been hearing. I But I've been reading the Drake May, and a lot of people have him over Jaden Daniels. I haven't watched any films, so that's not my opinion, but that's what I've seen on Mox. But those three, yeah.
Sure.
From what I know, all right. But then from there, I started to think like everything kind of really opens up, and some teams are probably going to start saying, okay, do we want the fourth or fifth best quarterback, or do we want the best tackle, or the best receiver, or the best corner? It's gonna be
Marvin
hard,
Harrison Jr.
Said that, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
what is
pretty hype.
he's gonna be awesome. I will say I have heard. I'm sorry, just that again. I guess the one thing about like the Jaden Daniels and he's like I think like the 1B to like a dual threat quarterback. So that's where I'm seeing like that's why he's kind of more slotted with what you have in Washington versus I feel like maybe the Patriots, who again while they did bring in Cam Newton, what was it 2 years ago? Like
Didn't really work out, did it?
The corpse of Cam Newton, I should say. I mean, I could certainly see the Patriots trying to go for somebody a little bit more strong-armed, a little bit more traditional for what they, may want to, they may find comfort in that with whatever it is that they're trying to build.
Like you say, new regime, you got to wonder, like Belichick maybe doesn't want to do mobile quarterback stuff, but, it's Mayo's show now, so.
I mean, that's true.
Yeah,
Who's
that'll be fun to
their
watch.
coordinator?
They kept everybody in-house, didn't they?
Largely, I think, yeah.
Anybody external? I couldn't tell you, though. I have no idea.
Yeah. I have no clue either. I'm going to look that up now.
It's the Bills division anyway.
You're not wrong.
Alex Van Pelt.
Yeah, Van Pelt is offensive and defense is who they. Mayo might just be running the defense entirely.
I thought it was one of the Belichick kids, or
DeMarcus Covington is listed as the defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
oh, of course.
As one will, yes.
Yeah. Their inside linebackers coach though is Dante Hightower. So
Yeah, good for him.
That's cool.
I mean, with Alex Van Pelt, he could run a more mobile quarterback. He did that in Buffalo. So, I mean, he wasn't there for long, but.
oh, and Ben McAdoo's also on the staff. Love that.
Nice.
So you guys were talking, I mean, again, kind of like, kind of a run on quarterbacks at the beginning, maybe,
Gets a little
Marvin
money after
Harrison
that.
Jr., maybe somewhere kind of in that top whatever.
He's got to be the first receiver off the board. Like, I can't imagine anyone.
I'd bet good money on that, yeah.
Yeah. No, I would certainly agree with that. What's got me interested is where do you think what do the Giants do? We talked about like just like the quarterbacks, like they signed a guy. Like I feel like they are in such a weird spot that like I wish Casey was around, right? Tell us like I don't again I don't know the team well enough to kind of have any glaring needs from like I don't know,
Any
like
receivers, big time. They lost Saquon, so they'll need a running back, but they can find one.
First round one, right? Yeah, we're not. All right, so offensive weapon then.
I could see them.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they paid Daniel Jones a bunch of money. I could see them just running that for one more year. They're sitting at 6. They're going to be able to get one of the top receivers in the draft for sure without moving anywhere.
Yeah, that could be one of the things where if like say the Vikings trade up to number 4 to grab a quarterback ahead of them, or even number 5, they're gonna either have Harrison Jr. and Neighbors sitting there waiting for them.
Sure.
And I think if you pair that with Daniel Jones, like Daniel Jones has never had. Well, I mean, he had Odell, right? But did he not have Odell his rookie year?
I don't know.
But he's never had a true playmaker, wide receiver, or threat on the field besides Barkley. Yeah. So might do some well.
So I could see the Giants, not making a play for a QB at all. Like, I don't think Danny Dimes is bereft of value. Obviously paid him. He obviously had a rough start to last year, then got injured, of course, which doesn't help. But doesn't help his case. It's not like Tommy Cutlets, as fun as that was, truly lit the world on fire or anything. So I mean, they could ride it out, but it's tough because I feel like because it's New York, like if that doesn't pan out, Dable could just be gone. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
I think that might be the mark for if they start over at quarterback, though. Like, I think as long as Dayball's there, like, you got to keep running it, or else you're not going to find out what he's capable of, either the player or the coach, and then you're just kind of wasting away. But
if the
they
Giants
start over,
yeah, it's tough because Dable will be on the hot seat either way, right? Like, if they trade up to take a QB, that's like a last-ditch effort. Like, all right, we're putting a high draft pick for what should be a high-talent QB. If we don't get some kind of results, like, then we just wasted, draft capital to move up to get this guy that was nothing that you couldn't do anything with.
Sure, it feels like a kind of last ditch.
Yeah.
It's like we're going to mortgage some of the future to get you something, but you got to show us something in return.
Right.
But speaking of Giants coaching, you saw the Belichick stuff today and yesterday, I think it was.
I did, yeah.
I did not.
He's been he was on the Pat Mac show doing some pre-draft press interviews,
Incredible.
which I heard was actually good stuff. I didn't listen to the whole thing yet, but meaning to. And I guess he's doing something during the draft with them next week, something to check out. But I think that the other news was it was an insider, someone who knows him, leaked what teams he'd be interested in, and it was basically the NFC East. So the Giants, Eagles, and Cowboys were the three teams listed. But yeah, they're talking about specifically like, okay, if this is the do or die for Dable because he's got Belichick nipping in his heels, trying to come in and take the team over. Like, does that change things for them? Are they willing to mortgage as much of that future if they're, going to can their coach and bring in Belichick or anybody really? You want that to be as appealing as it can. So, to get your guy. So yeah, it's getting weird in New York. I kind of like it.
It's always that way. I can't
very true.
I can't picture Belichick with the Cowboys, but that's another hot seat that could potentially be open next year. So,
Mike McCarthy can't win playoff games.
you got to. We talked about it a bit last week. You got a roster that should be able to compete at the highest level, but can't. Well, bring in the coach that has competed at the highest level better than anybody. And
Yep.
You got a good defense, some good DBs. Like, you could probably make something of that team.
I believe he probably could. His Belichick's weakest attribute has always kind of been his talent acquisition. If you're going to pick one. So if he comes into a ready-made team, just like Tom Brady did when he went to Tampa, he might just win one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Cowboys, I mean, they haven't done anything free agency wise this year,
Nothing.
but as I forget who ever said it from their franchise, but they're worried about signing their own. Their own are pretty damn good right now, so
Yeah.
Yeah, they've got some cap issues to figure out, and they don't have a super high draft pick. So, but Cowboys follow that best player available. So it's hard to say. Whoever's left at pick 24, that's who the Cowboys are going for.
Think they would take an offensive lineman? I
don't
mean,
know.
right?
Probably.
Where's their line at? Because they've always
They've
invested
lost
so
one guy.
high in it,
Yeah.
and I forgot
Yeah.
who they did lose. So I didn't know if there was like a whole open.
yeah, they lost their right tackle there. Zach Martin?
Zach Martin.
He was their guard, wasn't he? Who was the
Maybe
big
was
boy?
their guard? Yeah, he was a guard.
I thought they lost their longtime left tackle too. Maybe he's right, but I'm drawing a blank on his name though, so I don't know. My official sources though say no needs on O-line for that team. They have damn near every other position group listed.
Gotcha.
They're
Okay.
on fifth? Is that the one?
Cowboys straight up for a QB.
Just Jerry Jones things.
I don't think I remember the last time the Cowboys ever traded up or out of the first round. They tend to just kind of sit there.
We were joking last week about them sitting in the their stupid draft room. I feel like they show it so often.
Yeah.
They cut to it, but then what are they actually doing when they cut to it? I have no idea. They're just showing Jerry Jones being
Menacing.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Being a Sith
That's
Lord.
hilarious.
Jerry Jones needs his FaceTime.
Sure does, but yeah, it's just so funny. 'Cause I have no picture of what that team does in the draft. That's a good deck.
Yeah, I'm looking at their offensive line depth chart. I don't. It's not the same team that was their lineup that was there even like 2 years ago. Like Zach Martin's the only one left. They got Brock Hoffman, who was with the 49ers, I guess, is their starting center. TJ Bass, I haven't heard that name. Or Terrence Steele, their right tackle. Yeah, I don't know who these guys are.
They'll
But
be fine.
used to seeing the Cowboys offensive line being a bunch of studs.
But yeah, I mean, just going down the list of draft picks, it's hard to predict trades like at all. But it seems
Sure.
like after you get the QBs, you get a couple wide receivers come off the board, and then it seems like people are expecting a big run on offensive line within
Yeah.
the mid first there.
Yeah, been seeing a lot
Yeah.
of that just from looking at Raiders news and predictions. Which we'll
Leave,
probably
leave
get in-
someone for me, please. That's all I ask.
Same.
Please.
Yeah,
Just one.
Just
Give
yeah,
the big
just
boys some love.
just our guy. Just leave him. Whoever that guy is, I don't know, but just leave him.
I
They're
don't know
gonna take a
about-
wide receiver like they always do. It's just
I don't know who's out there a lot for offensive linemen, but that one kid, Joe Alt.
Joe Alt's
He's a
going number one.
Monster.
Joe Alt's
Yeah, he
going
should
number
be.
one.
Yeah.
I mean that's all.
big boy.
It's not even like yeah.
Yeah.
What a specimen
Yep.
that freaking guy is.
He's slimmer than I thought.
And what
at
they should
6'9".
do with their pick, and we are
6'9",
going to
Well-
start with it.
320
Well, that's
or
the
something
thing.
like
That's
that?
what makes him so scary because he ran a 5.0,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right? I mean, come on. I get it. You're 6'9", but yeah, I mean, he's just hyper athletic and just I mean, yeah, I don't know. There are not very many people on the planet that size, let alone have committed to the sport of football. And I mean, so you get that, right? You don't even care, right? Everything
Yeah.
else, like, well, and he has got a good resume. Like, it's not that he hasn't played very well, because he certainly has. But I mean, again, just from the size factor, and then you put him onto an NFL roster, it's just only going to potentially. I mean, right? Like talking about like large men who had like the silverback, right? Trent, like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like there are only so many people that are able to achieve that size of physicality of just being this massive specimen of a human. So
Yeah, and still be ultra athletic at the same time. It's
Yep.
yeah. If the Niners were to mortgage their future for a player in this draft, that's the one I would want. Just 'cause fuck it, right? Just
yeah,
we don't need first. Just go get Joe Alt. Another interesting thing I read. Apparently, this will be Sean McVay's like first ever first round
first
selection.
round pick. Yep.
They've
Really?
traded away every
Oh,
single other
yeah.
first round since he's been there.
Wow,
It's been like 7 years.
Yeah.
I'm insane. Yeah.
that's wild.
Okay, wow, that's funny because I have a mock draft pulled up here, and their first round pick in forever. Guess what they're taking according to this mock draft?
What do you got?
A 6 foot tall, 295-pound defensive lineman.
No way.
No, who is it?
Come
Who is
on.
that?
Byron Murphy. I don't know who he is, but
Let me see.
I mean,
Byron
that is the most Rams fitting thing I've ever seen in my life. He's built like Aaron Donald.
There's no way that's what they actually pick. I can't imagine. Aaron Donald is a diamond in the rough. Like, there's no way he's like, oh, he's a 6 foot tall big boy. Yeah, he'll be just like Donald.
I mean, gotta risk it to get the biscuit.
I suppose. I feel like
Yeah.
they have other needs, perhaps, but maybe not.
Yeah.
Donald X has absolutely angered that defense for better part of 10 years, so it's tough
I
to
mean,
say.
That's hilarious.
I'm watching some highlights of him right now, and really they're highlights.
Yeah.
but he's got that motor that Aaron Donald has. That's for
He's
sure.
apparently a disruptive guy, but like we'll see if because it wasn't just Aaron Donald, the fact that he was a little undersized, and
That's why
he
everyone
filled
overlooked
up,
him largely.
right? Yeah, but I mean, just the fact that he stayed on top of like he was the strongest man on the field 9 times out of 10, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think you can expect just because of they're a similar state. I mean, you know what? It would be cool. Like it would be cool to see. But I mean, a lot of people have tried, and I'll never forget when Donald was talking. I guess his dad was like a bodybuilder, and at like age 14, had him literally awake at 5 in the morning to go in their basement and lift weights.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
so, like I just don't like I don't think that you want to try and mimic that size because it's literally typically only worked for one Aaron Donald.
There's gonna be another one, but yeah, how long is it gonna take? Are they gonna find him?
Yeah, that would be wild. I mean, outside of that, though, I mean, I think that they need some more weapons, right? Like just offensive weapons.
I mean,
That's what I
they're
think of
pretty
it.
set
No,
at
not at
wide
all.
receiver.
They got
Yeah.
Cup. They got Nakua. Even
They still got Cooper Cup.
who's the other?
Oh,
the
do
other
they?
kid too? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Whatever.
Atwell. Tutu Atwell.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Higby when
All
his
right,
knees are intact.
I thought they
They-
lost a couple. I'm okay.
No,
Well,
they still
they
got
still
everything.
got
yeah, whatever.
Cam Akers at running back and that kid that came on strong last year. Forget his
Yeah,
name.
Williams, I think.
Yeah. Kieran Williams or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds right.
All right.
It's just-
I guess, yeah. All right. I guess
Well,
I feel like their performance outside of Puka was like, because he was the guy, right? And when you're the guy as a rookie, like chances are, like, why are other things not clicking? But Cooper was hurt. Now that I think about it, right?
He
Like
missed
for
the first part
eight-
of the season, but like once Cooper came back, like
Yeah.
Puka and Cooper were putting up like identical stats every week. Like so, they were like both just feasting.
Sure. All right, I retract it.
So defense is definitely their place of need. I think they've lost a lot of big names in the last few years that since their Super Bowl run that they just haven't really replaced, or at least like nobody's broken out that I can really name on that defense. I mean, it's just been
Yeah,
a
for
Donald
sure.
show.
Yeah. Hey, they signed Trey White though.
They did pick up Trey White. I'm rooting for him even though he's on the Rams, but.
Speaking of defense, getting back to the draft, a lot of tackles, a lot of quarterbacks, a couple of receivers. But no one's talked about any defensive players at all. I don't think.
not a
crazy.
lot, no.
People are saying like 9th, 10th, 11th, pick overall. Do you have any guesses like who might go or where or?
Cornerback.
yeah.
That's all I know.
Yeah, cornerbacks
Well-
seem to be plentiful, but yeah,
I will
outside of
say,
that-
like, a lot of talk radio in Atlanta, like they want a defensive guy, like they want another stud edge rusher, defensive tackle, something. That's what. Now again, they want it to try and say, okay, right, we brought in Kirk Cousins, right now let's try and get defensively something going because they feel confident in their right. They got a weapon in Kyle Pitts. They got Bijan. I couldn't tell you who the
Kirk
wide
Cousins?
receivers are. Yeah, well, I am Kirk. So like I think that they feel like they've already drafted weapons. So now like they want to kind of shore up the other side of the ball. So I know the talk is Atlanta wants someone, and they're picking in the top 10. So for a defensive guy.
Yeah, honestly, not a bad guess. Yeah, we're the edge rushers this year. It seems like that's been kind of a feature of the last decade or so. There's always a few.
I can't say I've really heard much talk about any edge rushers going into this
Yeah.
draft. It's all
Yeah,
the
the-
speedy guys.
the one mock I'm looking at actually has the Falcons taking the first defensive player off the board, who's an edge
Oh, okay.
rusher. So,
Is he an edge?
yeah, from Alabama, Dallas
Oh,
Turner.
okay.
I mean, Falcons sitting at 8, they're gonna have their pick of whatever defensive player they want.
Sure.
I'd be shocked if a defensive player went above 8. So they're in a good position for that.
We can talk about the guy from Penn State who is arguably one of the second best name in the draft,
What do we got?
and that is one Chop Robinson.
Chop.
Chop
Chop.
Chop Robinson.
Pretty
That's
great.
pretty good. The number one name, of course, being Kool-Aid McKinstry. Is that what we're
That is, I mean, that's bar none number one.
Can't beat. Can you imagine Chop getting his own like peanut punch kind of move though? Like,
Oh yeah.
Oh my God!
it's coming.
What do you
Get
just
ready.
call it?
Please.
The chop?
What position does he play?
Slap Chop.
Slap Chop.
He's an edge guy.
Okay.
Oh, I was
okay.
thinking DB. All right, never mind.
No, sorry, no,
Look
he's
at
not
him.
DB.
Yeah.
No, Kool-Aid's the DB with
Kool-Aid's-
literally.
Oh man, he was named that specifically for endorsement deals. If you ever went pro, like how do you not pick him up as like
I don't even know.
kinda have to.
Yeah, you have to. How do you like if you have like the name of a copyrighted product? Like that's my first name. What do you want? I
Yeah,
can't
that's
help
what
it.
is.
That's wild.
This one mock draft I'm looking at has the Niners taking a guy named a wide receiver in the first, sure, named Ladd McConkey.
That's pretty
Yo,
good.
we like our lads.
Yeah,
What a lad. Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
What a
that's,
lad.
That's
Can't
decent.
get it wrong.
And then there's I will say that he's a Georgia guy, but the tight end Brock Bowers.
I
really
like
good
it.
name.
That's a good tight end
That's-
name.
That is
Mhm.
that's a football name.
I think he's gonna be pretty good too. I watched a little bit of film on him, and he could be good. Where's this? This mock has him going to the Jets. Ooh, I think they need a tight end. I don't know who they have
They
there.
need weapons for sure. Yeah.
I thought they had a tight end that was kind of coming on 2 years ago, but maybe I'm wrong.
Let's look up the depth chart.
Yeah, just looking at the Niners projection, nobody has no idea what we're even doing. Like, some of us have taken a cornerback, others have us D tackle,
Tyler Conklin.
offensive tackle, wide receiver. They're all over the place. Nobody has any idea, and rightfully so. I have no idea. At 31, it could be anything.
Yeah. I mean, if we told you the first 20 names off the board, I'd feel like you'd still have a hard time guessing. We would have a hard
Yeah.
time guessing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So.
I guess that's why I'm excited, right? Like, I was of course excited when we drafted Bosa, but I knew that we were taking Bosa. Like, there was no question that that's
Yeah.
what we were gonna get.
Yeah.
So like exciting, but like leading up to it, like, it's hard to get hyped about something I knew was a fact for like the last 3 months.
But like this year, I'm like absolutely tuning in. 8:30, first couple
Yeah.
of picks, do not care. Let them get all that pomp and circumstance out of the way, and yeah.
Especially because they take forever for those. Even still, like who you're
Yeah.
taking in the
Yeah.
first 3-4 picks. Like, come on, just rattle them off.
It's like we'll put the pick in, and it's like, all right, but we got to do the hype videos and the commercials. And,
Take all
You got
5
the
minutes.
little the hat thing.
Oh, the
course.
hats.
Yeah.
What are the hats any good?
Oh,
I
they
look at
have
your
like
shit
a
draft day.
mirror that they go and like. They
Oh,
put their
that's right.
Hat on.
Yeah,
and, like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
look
I
at that.
enjoyed that, but where is
Last
it
year's
this year?
draft hats were pretty nice. I was thought about buying one.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at the 2024s.
Yeah,
See,
where
we're
is the
trying to-
draft?
We're trying to get all this out of the way, and so we can actually start talking draft next week, like
Mhm.
actual draft chat.
Draft hats are boring.
Yeah. They're wow.
New era, phoning it in this year.
The only thing cool about the Packers one is it says "Go Pack Go" on the side with a Wisconsin State silhouette behind it.
I'm gonna say
okay.
I googled 2024 draft hats, and in the first 6 pictures, I have Biden for president, Kennedy 2024, and then a bunch of Trump hats. So that's interesting.
I think you have problems then.
2024 draft hats.
Oh, you said draft. You didn't say NFL draft hats.
I did not.
That's your problem.
All right, so all
There's
right,
colors though.
a little closer. The draft hats do have like a fan, like homage or whatever on them. Like the Bills one has like a New York State thing that says Bills Mafia on it. Chiefs Kingdom with like the decibel meters on them. It's all right, maybe not the worst.
Yeah, it's got their I don't know saying on the side. Like the Browns, it says "Dog Pound." Eagles says go Birds. Tighten up.
Is that
Where's the
really their
Steelers?
saying? Tighten up.
For the Titans.
What? Yeah. What is this? What's the
Steel
Steelers
City
one?
football.
Oh, we should have said Renegade.
Yeah.
Copyrighted. Gotta name your kid that.
I will say the Steelers logo looks kind of cool. I do like how they have that set up. A little eclipsey. I do like that.
I will say though, they not really a fan of the trucker style, but the green one for the Packers looks a lot better than the black. But it's got the trucker, mesh back to it.
Does the Raiders one just say Raiders again on the side, but really with extra A's? Raiders.
There's a black hole. Where is the Raiders one? I don't see a Raiders one. There it is. What does it say?
It says
Once a Raider, always a Raider.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Is that a Raider saying? Is that something people have said?
Yeah, it was an Al Davis thing.
Oh, okay.
It's got a
Mostly
little star
applies.
behind
Unless you're like Henry Ruggs or some types, then
it.
they don't count.
What does the Niners say? Faithful.
Faithful. Yeah.
Oh, that's it. Oh, theirs is cool though. It's got the California State with a little gold nugget and a pickaxe.
That's
I'm on
pretty
board
sick.
with that.
All right. The Rams one cracks me up. It says Rams house and with just like a picture of California, which is like not true. But I don't know if you've ever watched a Rams game, a Rams home game, or how many you've watched. I've watched quite a few. It's one of those stadiums where it's always the opposing fans, just overwhelming.
That is really funny.
So I do enjoy that.
All right. Here's an interesting little piece of trivia. Because a lot of these have states on them. I'm looking through, but I think there's only one team. Someone here might get this pretty easily, but there's only one team that has. Oh no! Okay, there's 2, maybe 3 teams that have 2 states.
Another funny one. The Chargers slogan is just established 1960. That's it.
Oh,
That's too good.
that's so funny. The only
Anyways.
double state I know is the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, the
But just 'cause
Carolina.
I live there. That's the only one that.
The other one should
Chiefs.
Chiefs
should
technically.
only have one team. It should only have one state because they play in one state, but they have 2.
New England.
No, New England
England's
actually
got like
has
5
more
states.
than that. Yeah, but the Jets have New York and New Jersey on.
Do they really?
Yeah,
That's so good.
so do the Giants.
Like they kind of have to, right? Because they don't have to, but
They should be just New Jersey. They don't play in New York.
I mean,
There is only one New York team.
That's right. That's right. Well, other than more draft hats, any other broader draft insights?
well, we've covered the important things, right? Best names, best hats.
Mhm.
We've talked about kind of the where people are going or an approximation. I mean, I feel like that sets us up for at least. I mean, right next week we're going to go kind of dive into the teams. It's kind of the plan. I can't think of any other overarching. Okay, I guess here's the overarching question. What do you think? Right, we're talking about how we've had like maybe a deep offensive line. What do you think is the weakest category in this draft class?
I mean, is that a fair question?
The weakest.
Running back.
Well,
Yeah. Hey, Frank Gore Jr.'s in this draft, if I'm not mistaken.
Really? Drafting him round 1. Let's go.
Also, Luke McCaffrey is in this draft.
Is he a running? I thought he was a wide receiver.
He's
though.
a wide receiver, but just as a fun fact, there's a couple legacy players other than Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
I think to answer that, it's tough because all the position values are relative, right? It's like obviously running backs, there's not a lot anymore. And I was thinking like linebackers I've barely seen, but then it's kind of the same story. But I feel like tight ends, I don't know. There's a couple of like names at the top of the list, and then I don't know, disappears from my what I've been seeing.
Yeah, and that's
yeah, I don't know. I think I like the tight end because definitely what we were right. Like we see like stud tight ends. I think like the last one drafted was Kyle Pitts, and then I don't think he's lived up to again what the top end tight ends are.
Well, last one drafted actually might be Laporta from
Detroit,
Iowa product, just like Kittle.
I mean,
Actually, it's 3 of the top 5 tight ends, or or 3 of the top 10 are from Iowa, with Hawkinson, Kittle, and Laporta. Are there any tight ends coming out of Iowa? That's where we want to look.
So Sam Laporta wasn't the first tight end drafted last year either. Last year had quite a few great tight ends that have good futures. Dalton Kincaid was the first tight end off the board to the Bills. And then Sam Laporta. Michael Mayer went to the Raiders right after that. And then the Packers a few picks later took Luke Musgrave. So that was 4 tight ends gone in the first 2 rounds.
And I heard all of their names at some point last year. So impact of some kind from those players.
5 in the first 2 rounds. 6.
Wow, that's a lot for tight ends.
Yeah. 6 in the first 2 rounds.
Yeah, I think that's a good call there, Carl. I think yeah. I mean, again, we haven't really heard any tight ends talked about other than the Georgia guy, and then that's it.
Bowers.
Yeah. It's tough. You talked about Pitts too. Like he's obviously like a physical specimen, and like he hasn't been producing a whole lot the last couple of years. But how much is that his fault? I wonder. I'm really excited just to see him in Cousins.
Sure, that's a good point.
They can actually get some, get like Rudolph and some of those connections they had.
Yeah.
Those red zone targets, or maybe he just sucks. I don't know. I gotta watch the film. But yeah, I haven't seen a lot of like safeties either. I feel like there's always a few. Yeah. Corner is the premium position, but yeah, not a lot of
Cooper.
I mean, there's always chatter. It seems every offseason that like safeties are like number 2 as far as undervalued, right behind running backs.
Yeah.
Right.
Which is weird because like you see so many teams that have a really good safety and they're a massive like impact player. Like was that Baltimore kid from last year, Kyle Hamilton, is like huge impact.
Yeah.
Not even just one player. Like you look at these teams that have safety tandems that are just, monsters. Like the Bills, I mean, for years they had Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde, and that was like the top safety tandem in the league for a long time.
Right.
It's tough,
it's also why I want the Packers to take Cooper DeJean.
I mean, you mean Kool-Aid? Is who you want?
That's who I want.
Let's be real. We know we you may not get them. We know what you actually want, right? Just say what you want. I know that's what I want.
See, Kool-Aid's a cornerback though. I want a safety.
Oh, fair enough.
I think Kool-Aid belongs on the
John's
Niners in red. I think that's just appropriate.
He's a corner, but a lot of people are saying he will probably end up as a safety in the NFL, just because of how well he can tackle and play the middle of the field. But he does have that ability to play outside too. So I could see him as like a good slot corner or a safety. I'd like to see him as a safety.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're getting close.
I think
In the meantime,
in the meantime. Trivia.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So we got some trivia from last week that you weren't here for, Jesse.
Yeah.
You might know the answer straight up. Even it's possible. So we spent some time digging into Jerry Jones last week, and so the trivia was when Jerry Jones purchased the Cowboys, how much did he pay for them? They're now valued, I think it's something like $5.5 billion or something like that. How much did he pay for them when he bought them? I think in '89. I want to say he bought them.
I will say I recently heard this number said, but I don't remember it. But 1989 he bought them.
I believe so, right around there.
And I heard this number because the Orioles previous owner, just passed away, and he bought the team for something like, I think it was something like $385,000 or something back in like '91.
Oh my goodness!
And sold it for like $2 billion. So it was something like that. But I want to say 89. I want to say it was like. I want to say like 400,000.
Oh my god! Then we are way off. All right, I think I said 30 million, and I think Carl said 300 million.
You said 100. I said 30.
Yeah, John, you said 100.
Oh, whoops, other way around.
Fake news.
Carl said 300 million, and Jesse throwing the low ball at 400,000.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that I don't know about NFL, but MLB teams went really cheap in the 80s and 90s. So,
yeah, so Jerry Jones purchased the Dallas Cowboys in 1989 for $140 million.
Oh, let's go!
By Price is Right rules, this one goes to John.
Yes.
Yeah, and now it's worth anywhere up to $9 billion. I see some reports, but yeah, anywhere from $5 to $9 billion.
How did he have 100? Like, what did he do before that? Do we
He was
know?
an oil guy, so like he was already a billionaire. So like 140 was literally nothing for him, I think.
another vacation to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Frickin' Jerry.
Yeah, that's can you imagine $140 million for a football team? And it's not like the Cowboys were like an unpopular team even in the 80s, right? Like they had already 3 Super Bowls or something from the 70s,
Yeah.
so they were already wicked popular. Football's huge in Texas anyways. Only 140 mil.
Crazy.
He made out.
Knew how to invest his money. That's a hell of a return.
So, just to follow up on what I was saying with the Orioles, in 1991, the Orioles franchise was sold for a then record $173 million. So not 400,000. I don't know where I got that from. I meant millions, but it just sold for $1.725 billion. So the return on that investment is just crazy. I mean, probably even more so for the Cowboys, but
Yeah.
Yeah, so 140 in the 89, and then by right around 2005 is when it became worth about $1 billion.
Real quick recap of here is your UFL quick catch up.
yeah.
I would like to point out that once again the Arlington Renegades are 0-3.
Yeah, okay. Look,
Yeah. However,
I watched
will
that
say
game.
the defense is not helping them.
the defense was bad. You go up 10 points with a minute and a half left. You're like, we got this. We that's the go ahead score. We're gonna win this game. Well, that didn't happen. The DC Defenders brought it back. They did the 4th and 15 or whatever onside
Stupid
deal.
thing.
Converted that and just Martin, like 2 plays later, they were like right up against the field goal. They chip shot in.
Yeah, that
game
was
over.
pretty quick.
Brutal. Yeah, Luis Perez is out there slinging it. Dude's making plays.
He's doing everything he can. And again, just Birmingham up 3-0, just casually.
Whatever.
Just won their home playoff, their home opener.
Look, the Renegades
was
have been
not
here before. They're gonna win it all again. just wait and see.
I know I talked with John about this, but I don't think Tom and Tom. I am a Birmingham Stallions fan as well.
Boo.
Not hopping on the bandwagon. I picked that because of how many ex-Packers are on that team. Because there's like 8 of them.
And look at that. And Taco Charlton.
Yeah.
Let's
Go Taco.
So, there you go. There is your UFL update.
Go Stallions.
Go Stallions.
Yeah. We got any trivia this week? I'm a slacker. I got nothing. Unprepared.
Oh, do we go to the book?
Oh, I mean, it's always ready. Okay, real quick. We'll pull up a draft one. I'm not ready.
Or we'll edit this out. Don't worry.
9:06. John's computer is telling us.
Oh, come on! I'm trying to find a draft question.
I mean, you could make one up and then we'll figure it out later too.
Make what? I make up a draft question?
Yeah.
Who was the third pick in the 1985
No,
NFL
we're not doing
draft?
that. What like what was the first position that the Steelers ever drafted? Something like that.
What year was the first draft?
That could be a trivia question because I have no clue.
I don't think anybody has a clue. I think that's it. I feel like that's got to be the question.
What year was the first draft?
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I have no idea.
Can roll with that.
All right. Well, I mean, if that's the question, I'm gonna guess 1930.
Damn.
Mm.
Going way back.
Yeah, I'm thinking post-war implementation. 1949.
Oh, the 49ers. Freaking fly again.
That's right.
Oh shoot! Yep.
Yeah, I think it's got to be post-war too, like 1947 or something like that. That's what I'm going with.
I actually think it was much later than that.
Really? What's your guess?
1971.
Wow.
After the first Super Bowl was the first draft?
That's what he said.
Yeah,
It's on the books.
that is just total random guess. But yeah, I thought about that. I was like, was it after the first Super Bowl? But
I genuinely don't know.
I
No
yeah,
idea.
I don't know.
All right. Well, tune in next week to find that out with you and other.
That's right.
Only here at the Filthy Football Casuals podcast
Best
and
trivia
YouTube video.
podcast on the internet.
That's right.
In the league.
Yeah, well, on that, it's been fun hanging out. Good talking to you guys. Catch you next week for Big Draft Palooza.
There it is.
Yeah. See ya.
All right.
See
Until
ya.
then, see ya.
Whoop, whoop. Esports.
And we are underway.
Daytime!